gentlemen, this is episode 11, Thoughts on Millennial After Hours. This is an emergency podcast. I'm sure you guys know what has transpired over this weekend on Saturday, July 13th, 2024. And today is Monday, July 15th, 2024. Wanted to get our thoughts, our opinions about the assassination attempt on Donald Trump, former President Donald Trump. And we wanted to basically bring to light just to kind of get you caught up. Since this transpired on Saturday, I've gotten a lot of phone calls, text messages, WhatsApp messages, emails about people wanting to get my opinion, people that, I converse with in my close circles and so on and so forth. So I figured we respond to a few of those questions on air, just so the viewers watching can get a glimpse of what our thoughts are, and then you can share your opinions and your thoughts in the comments below. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel, and let's get right into it. So Amir is joining us from a different location. That's why you don't see his camera turned on. He's on the road right now, but he's going to share his opinions as much as he can. So yeah, let's get right into it. So what do we know so far? What we know so far is that there was an assassination attempt on former President Trump, like I said, on Saturday, July 13th, at a campaign rally in Western Pennsylvania. The shooter was on a rooftop around 450 feet away from where the president was standing. If you watch the video, which there's tons of videos circulating of the exact moment when the shots were fired, you can see that President Trump had just last moment switched his head to one side. And I think, in my humble opinion, I think we were half an inch away from a civil war. That's how close we were from a civil war, because if that bullet pierces his brain and the assassination attempt on Donald J. Trump, former President Trump, is successful, I believe that the United States would immediately fall into a civil war. People would be out on the roads. There would be riots. There would be chaos. It would be something you see in movies.
Yeah, man. I mean, you said it right. Like this moment was like straight out of a movie. These kind of things I haven't seen happen.
Yeah.
I think it's probably the first time in U.S. history something like this happened. So it really shook my mind that to see such a thing happen. And what really, gets me to wonder even more is that it was just some young kid, I would say, that
Yeah.
attempted
20-year-old
this. Kid. Yeah, like, what how bad could it be, or what motive would this kid have to do something like this? But what makes me wonder is what was going on in his mind, or what background does this have to connect with in terms of what has happened in this kid's life that made him do such a thing. Is this just something like a publicity event, or is this something that for real happened and the kid just doesn't want Trump to come in power at all?
I mean, they're still investigating the motive. The motive is not clear. The kid, as you know, that he was shot immediately within seconds of him, firing off those shots. So the kid is dead, and they're now going through all of his phone records and his social media to figure out his motive. Furthermore, they found out that the rifle used was actually licensed to his father and legally licensed. So there's that. And then on top of that, they found the vehicle that the kid had driven in, and that vehicle was filled with bomb-making material and explosives. So who knows how bad this could have gotten if that kid had gotten away and not gotten shot, and how many other innocent people would have gotten injured. Because so far, there is one person that died at the event. Two other people got injured along with former President Trump from the shooting. So this is what we have so far. Now, if we just real quick, I want to address the questions that some of the people had. So question number one, if they, meaning the establishment, wanted him dead, he would be dead. probably a warning since all the useless cases against him weren't enough to sway the public opinion.
That seems logical, man. I mean, if somebody wanted Trump out of the picture, I'm
Mhm.
sure they wouldn't have hired a 20-year-old kid. It would have been something a lot more discreet and a lot more where nobody finds out. It just happens. It wouldn't be in a public place like this. That's just my 2 cents. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know how these things work, but I would assume that it would have happened in a lot more secrecy than how it happened. So it sounds like, or it seems like that it's just somebody that just wasn't happy with Trump for whatever reason. Um, and that I don't know what emotions got him to, make the decision to wake up in the morning and proceed forward with these actions.
Yeah, and one other thing, Amir, that you brought up was, has this ever happened in the U.S. history before? So JFK, as I'm sure you know, was assassinated November 22nd, 1963. And then there was an assassination attempt on Ronald Reagan, and that was March 30th, 1981. So 1981 was the last time that there was an assassination attempt on a United States president. 1981, and then now 2024. So that's the history. Question number two was, could this be a stunt that Trump pulled himself to solidify his position?
Yeah, that I don't know what to say to that. I don't know if that Trump would do that. I just don't have an answer for that question, And in
Yeah.
terms of you letting me know if has this happened in the U.S. history, I'm not sure if I'm the only one that did not know this, but both of these dates surpassed my time, so I definitely wasn't fully caught up on that history. Maybe
Well,
it's news
there
to
you
some
go, man.
people, maybe it's
Learn.
not.
Yeah, you learn something new every day, right?
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Okay. Question number three. The reason I'm not answering these questions is because when I get into what we want to talk about during this emergency podcast, we're going to actually answer all of these questions, and then I'll circle back to my responses to these questions. The third question: why is it that during COVID there were plastic and glass shields put up everywhere, and we've seen Obama put behind bulletproof glass? So why not protect former President Trump behind bulletproof glass at his rallies? It's a good question, actually.
Yeah, that's a good question, man. But I think it has to do in connection with COVID because all of those things were in place because of COVID. I'm not sure if they were using bulletproof glass when all of this was happening,
Hmm.
but if they were, then there's no reason why they shouldn't be doing that now. But if they weren't, then it explains that, why all of these measures were in place at that time and they're not in place today because we've kind of surpassed that COVID era.
Well, Obama was before COVID. Obama, they had behind bulletproof glass at some of his speeches and stuff like that. I do remember that. In regards to COVID, I think what the person is trying to get at, I guess, is if COVID, for COVID, we took such extreme
Yep.
measures, putting up, glass and plastic and this, that, and the other, grocery stores, banks,
Yep.
bulletproof glass, so on and so forth. President of the United States is very important, right? One of the most important individuals on the face of the planet, could be the leader of the free world, right? Like after November 5th. So, and especially in the time that we're in, where we know that President Trump's life could be at risk, why not take the preemptive measure of putting him behind bulletproof glass? I, I happen to agree with that. I think that they should have. I think that they should have these security measures in place. I think, it was a fail on many different respects, and we're going to get into it.
I think all of these questions that you're asking, man, are valid questions. I think we're good with these questions because these are some of the questions that I had in my mind as well. And
Yeah.
you're basically speaking my mind right now. So keep going.
All right, sounds good, man. All right, so the first thing is, when we talk about the establishment, the deep state, and we talk about the first question, it was referring to, if they wanted him dead, he'd probably be dead. This is probably a warning since the useless cases against him weren't enough to sway the public opinion. Okay, so If the deep state wanted to carry something out, then yeah, Amir, I agree. It would be on a more secretive scale. There are many different ways to carry this sort of attack out, especially if you have unlimited funds and unlimited resources, which we know that they do. So, in regards to a more secretive approach, you could look at poison. You could look at, inducing a health crisis like a heart attack, a stroke, an accident, whatever the case is, right? It wouldn't be this blatant, especially not now, especially not in 2024. The assassination attempts in the past, just like we spoke about, were in 1963 and 1981. At those times or since then, technology has far surpassed anybody's expectations. So now everybody is a walking camera. Everybody has a smartphone with a camera on it. Everything is being recorded. So for them to carry out an assassination attempt in this fashion, highly unlikely, highly unlikely, especially given the forecast and the temperature of the current climate in the US, where things are just about bubbling, right? I mean, we have protests around the country about everything that's going on in Palestine and Israel. There's people protesting about Ukraine. There's people protesting about this LGBTQ agenda and the schooling agenda that they're pushing on kids. There's a lot of fears, anger, anxiety within the general public. So I don't think that this would be the right approach if that was the ultimate goal. That's number one. Number two, if they were to essentially use this tactic, I don't believe that it would be from using a non professional 20-year-old kid to carry out such, an elaborate sort of attack. So that's the second thing. I think if they were to do something like this, it would be a professional hitman, professional sniper from way further than 400, 450 feet, which then brings me to my next point, which is, okay, so 400, 450 feet, that's not a lot, right? You would think, and if you were to watch any movies, Secret Service, presidential details, this, that, and the other, you would, kind of see the same, which is they normally carry a perimeter of around, I would say half a mile, right, around whatever the site that the president or the former president would be standing on. And so half a mile, to put it in respect of feet, you're looking at about 2,640 feet, right? 400, 450 feet is it's a minuscule, percentage when it comes to that. So why was it that these buildings were not covered, that these rooftops were not covered? You had snipers on certain rooftops, but not this one. And then on top of everything, now, like I said before, that everybody has a camera. So we are seeing a lot of videos emerge of people that were pointing out the gunman while he was climbing on top of the roof. They were pointing him out. They were literally pointing to the snipers on the adjacent roof that, hey, there's somebody jumping on top of that roof. 2 minutes passed by from them telling people or telling police, telling the Secret Service that, hey, somebody's jumping on the roof and he's like bear crawling across, right? And then the shots went off. So what happened to the security response? What happened to the response of local authority and the Secret Service? That's my biggest question.
Yeah, definitely, and that's news to me, man. I mean, maybe for the viewers and everybody else, if you happen to have any of the URLs for those videos where people captured him climbing all over the place in the buildings, maybe
Yeah.
put that out.
It's a beautiful place with a gorgeous ocean, the
Look, they're all pointing.
Mediterranean, the Atlantic, maybe the Pacific.
Yeah, someone's on top of the roof. Look. There he is right there. Right there, see him? He's laying down. See him?
Yeah, he's laying down.
Instead, I'm here with you fighting like hell to get a senator
What's happening?
elected and to make sure we take back the White House, because if we do, we're going to make America better than ever before. We're going to make it.
Yeah, look.
And it's
There he
not
is.
easy, because we have millions and millions of people in our country that shouldn't be here. Dangerous people, criminals. We have criminals. We have drug dealers. We have people that should not be here.
On the
And
roof.
it's much tougher than it happened.
You went
We
right
have
on
the
the
strongest
roof, big
border
guy.
ever. In recorded history, we had the best border. In fact, if they could ever put up a chart, I don't know if they can do it. Do you guys have access to that chart that I love so much? You don't mind if I go off teleprompter, do you? Because these teleprompters are so damn boring, I try and explain that. Oh, there's it. Wow. You guys are doing it. They're getting better with time. My guys, take a look at that chart. Take a look at the arrow on the bottom. See the big red arrow, right? So that's when I left office. That was the lowest point, and that comes right from the government services, comes right out of Border Patrol. Take a look at that. So that arrow is the lowest amount of illegal immigration ever in recorded history into our country. And then the worst president in the history of our country took over. And look what happened to our country. Probably 20 million people. And you know, that's a little bit over that chart. That chart's a couple of months old. And if you want to really see something that says, what happened.
I hope he's turning this way. Be careful, guys.
I did not know about this. I was, I mean, I only know what the news media has told me so far.
Yeah.
I haven't got a chance to do any research on my own to dig into any of these details. But good that you are doing this research and getting the insight out to all the people, not just myself, but everybody that's watching this video right now. I'm sure some of them would know about it, but then I'm sure there will be some people it'll be news to them.
Yeah. The other crazy thing is you talk about seeing it on the headlines and stuff, right?
Yeah.
When this incident first transpired, you know what CNN put out as the headline? They said that Donald Trump slipped at his rally and there was blood involved.
Okay, maybe they were trying to not make it look like,
I mean, it's unbelievable, man, like how far the liberal left media will go to cover something up and, just to paint a whole different picture or a whole different light on a picture. It's just unbelievable. And honestly, in some regards, it's very sickening. So quit it. Stop it, CNN. Stop, being this way. Try to walk down the center of the line, if you can, but it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
The one other thing I wanted to add is, so when we talk about the deep state, possibly having something to do with this attempt, the other thing that comes to mind is, what if this was an unconventional method? What if, so I don't know if you remember or not, but earlier this year, when was it? April 12th, 2024, there was a movie that was released called Civil War. And I believe I mentioned this in one of the previous podcasts. Civil War was a movie that you guys, feel free to go out and watch. It's basically, it depicts a person that kind of resembles and plays Donald Trump as the president. And the ultimate ending, and spoiler alert, sorry, I'm going to ruin the ending for you, is the hero of the movie actually ends up killing the president. And at that time, I had said, how many people do you think this message is probably inspiring? Right? So these are the unconventional methods that I'm talking about, that, perhaps maybe it was that movie that inspired, because all you need is one. All you need
Yeah,
is one person to listen to that and be like, I'm going to be the hero. I'm going to do this, and here we have, what happened on July 13th.
situation. Yeah, exactly. And I haven't seen this movie. When you mentioned Civil War, for some reason I was thinking about that Marvel movie, Captain America and Civil War. But
Yeah.
it's definitely a movie I am going to put on my list to watch.
There's definitely a lot of ways that this could have been played out by the deep state. Did they have something to do with it? Maybe in an unconventional way, which, like I said, through movies and messages and so on and so forth, and just kind of brainwashing people. But I guess maybe we'll find out at one point. Maybe we won't. Now, the other questions that I have is: was the protection detail in on it? Right? Was the Secret Service in on this entire debacle? Because the Secret Service, they are supposed to protect the president. They are
Yep.
supposed to, manage and get to the site way before the event, days and days before the event, possibly even weeks, to figure out how they're going to secure the perimeters, what buildings they're going to be on top of. There was a water tower that they could have been on top of, looking at all the different buildings and clearing that entire area, right? How come local authority wasn't on top of that? How come the Secret Service was not on top of this, right? So it kind of goes to show you that, or it begs the question: was the Secret Service or the protection detail in on it? Because even when the people are pointing out that there's somebody jumping on the roof, where was the response? Why was the
Yeah.
response, not until the shots actually rang out, hit the former president in his on his right ear? I don't know. And then
True.
sorry, go ahead.
No, I am agreeing with you. Like, all of these
Yeah.
details are usually planned out well in advance. So
Yeah.
how did we miss this?
Exactly. And then, was it a fail on the side of Secret Service, or was it a fail on the side of local authority? You would think that Secret Service and their supervisory committee is the one that is guiding the local police, right?
Yeah.
Because it is, concerning the former president. Secret Service is running that event, and they have local authority to kind of help them and aid in that support, right?
Yeah.
So who does that? Who sort of dropped the ball here? Because one of the reports was that a local authority, a local policeman, did get on that roof where the shooter was, and then he fell off, and then he never went back or shot a shot or nothing, right? What the hell happened here? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I don't get it. And then there's also, I don't know if you had a chance to see this. So this is on social media, all over social media, actually. Secret Service is supposed to protect the president. Why is there a photo of a Secret Service agent hiding behind the president, protecting herself? And yes, I said herself. There's many women on the Secret Service. So was this a fail of that one particular Secret Service agent? Or is this an entire fail of the DEI hires that are being pushed in every organization? The diversity, uh, equality, and inclusion, or equity and inclusion, right? Is that
Yeah.
where the fail was? Because if it wasn't a DEI hire, then maybe we would have had people that would be able to risk their lives to protect the president, because that's what you sign up for when you sign up to become a Secret Service agent.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. That wonders the question. What happened? Maybe was it
Yeah.
just not thinking that step forward, that hey, this is where it needs to be in that panic situation. Whatever is coming to your mind, you do that, or is it that you're at that point, you forget that your primary duty is something else, not and that duty is to protect the president, not be behind him but in front of him? Or was it an actual logical way of being behind him just in case any shots come from the back.
No, but if you see the picture, which I'm going to put on, she is
Yeah.
literally ducking and hiding and trying to protect herself rather than protecting the president.
Okay. Well, yeah.
She's literally like ducking and hiding behind. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. So
Yep.
it doesn't make any sense. Okay, so now let's talk about what effects this event has, right? So since this entire what was that?
Oh, no, nothing. Go ahead.
Since this shooting took place, the news headlines have completely changed. Up until now, on the headlines is Biden up to the task? Should Biden step down? The debate was a
Yeah.
debacle,
And
right? The NATO
yep.
speech was a debacle, right? Where President Biden messed up Zelensky's name by calling him Putin when introducing him, right? And then when he's asked a question about Kamala Harris, he refers to Donald Trump as a vice president. People can see everywhere that President Biden does not, like, medically, he's not fit anymore, right? You can say whatever you want. Medically, he is not fit to run the United States and also be one of the strongest leaders in the world, right? He's not capable of doing that. So all the headlines kept playing, is Biden up to the task? Is Biden up to the task? Now they've changed the narrative. Now on the headlines, this is what you're going to see for the next few days, right? And then also today was the RNC convention, Republican convention, and Donald Trump basically elected his vice president, which is JD Vance. So I think that's a very strong pick. It definitely gives him the votes in Ohio and that Rust Belt area. So I think it's a strategic move for Donald Trump. But yeah, it definitely changed the headlines. And then the other thing is it, kind of like forcing Biden's hand a little bit? Because after the debate, every news outlet asked President Biden, hey, are you going to step down? Right. And then you saw Nancy Pelosi the following day on the panel talking about, well, she never really responded in a direct answer, and her response was like, well, we stand behind President Biden, whatever he chooses to do, uh, but whatever we need to do, we need to make the decision soon because we're running out of time, which is kind of indicating that, hey, you need to step down quickly because we got to pick somebody else, right? And so I don't know. Was this them forcing Biden's hand? Because now, after this attempt, we pretty much, you can guarantee that President Trump is going to win by a landslide. Because even the people that were independents, that were in the middle, that didn't know which way they were going to vote, or even Democrats are now switching over that, hey, this is ridiculous. First, you tried to, defame this individual. First, you tried to, put all sorts of ridiculous lawsuits on him. Then you charged him, tied up all his money, made sure that he wasn't able to hold his rallies except for one day in the week, and so on and so forth, right? And now you're trying to kill him. That's ridiculous, man. It's that's it. We're not voting Democrats anymore. We're not, with you guys. We're switching over. And that has gained him a lot of popularity. And I'm sure behind closed doors, they're having those conversations right now that, President Biden, there's no way. Like, even if after the debate, you were neck and neck or just maybe a few points behind, now it's a landslide. So you got to step away, and this kind of forces his hand a little bit, right?
Yep. No, I agree, and I think this is gonna, this, whatever it was, planned, unplanned, assassination attempt, or just trying to scare Trump from, to step down or move away, whatever it was, I feel like this will definitely get Trump to, gain a lot more confidence from the citizens of US.
Yeah. And you know what? Let me quickly go down the list of what has transpired so far in the US. Because remember, in the previous episodes, even I referred to the fact that leading up to November 5th, we're going to see a lot of different things transpire. It's going to get interesting. Better get your popcorn ready. And you guys thought I was joking. But here's a list of all the things that have transpired so far, getting us ready for some major event to transpire, yet and still further down the road. So October 25th of last year, October 25th, 2023, Leave the World Behind is released. This is a movie that the Obamas produced. And if you haven't seen it, I highly suggest you watch it. It's not a great watch, but it has a lot of hidden messages within the movie. Again, referring to the Civil War. Okay, February 22nd, AT&T service goes down, affects thousands upon thousands and millions of people possibly. Okay, March 5th, all social media channels went down. There was a complete blackout of social media. March 26th, the Baltimore Bridge collapsed because a ship ran into it. April 12th, the Civil War movie gets released. Throughout this entire time, Donald Trump is faced with many different charges, lawsuits. In between that, he got convicted as a felon, right? Throughout, there's been protests with Palestinians, Israel's, and everything that's going on there. Protests with Ukraine and Russia, right? So up until this point, there has been a lot of chaos. A lot of things have transpired, and you just literally have to connect the dots and see that something big is coming, and they are simply just preparing you. When I say they, I'm talking about the deep state. I'm talking about the establishment. So keep your eyes wide open, keep your ears wide open, and just watch out for whatever's happening. And don't be naive to think that, oh, the government can't be involved in things like these, and the government, didn't have anything to do with this or whatever the case is. One of the top 3 defense contractors in the US is, guess who? Boeing. Time after time, we keep hearing they're killing their own employees. Whistleblowers just popping up dead, suicide, this, that. So nothing, you can't put anything past them.
Agree, man. Agree. Like, all of the things that have happened lately in the US, like how you listed them.
Yeah.
I feel like that there's something big at play over here.
Yeah.
Only time will tell.
Only time will tell, man. Only time will tell. Well, that does it. This was an emergency quick podcast. I hope you guys got something out of it. If you did, please definitely like, subscribe, throw a comment below. Let us know how we doing. Let us know what your thoughts are about this entire situation. And we'll catch you guys on the next one. It's your boy Raheem signing off, and your boy Amir. And make sure you guys tune in to the next episode, which will be dropping in a couple of days. Peace.